Sorry, my last video got interrupted. So starting back where we were at, we have our A, B, C. We're going to use this equation to find x first. That's our first step in finding the minimum of this quadratic function. So first I'm going to plug in what I know. X equals negative b, which my b is 12, so negative 12, over 2 times a, which my a is 9. So here is my equation to start, and then we're just going to simplify. So x equals, we'll simplify the bottom first. Negative 12 on top, 2 times 9 is 18. And then I'm just going to reduce that. Negative 12 over 18 can reduce to, let's see, negative 4 over 6. And then that can reduce even further to negative 2 over 3. So that is our x value for this quadratic function. But that is not what we're needing. What we need is the y value. So we have to take this x value and plug it back in for x in this quadratic function. So it'll be y equals 9 in place of x, negative 2 over 3 squared, plus 12 times x, again, negative 2 over 3 is x, so I plug that in, minus 1. And then all we're doing is simplifying this equation. So, you get a calculator if you want to start to simplify this. So first I'm going to deal with my exponent here. So 9 times negative 2 over 3 squared would be 4 over 9. Again, you can just use a calculator for that. I'm not going to go through the math of that. Plus, here we can multiply these out. 12 times negative 2 over 3 should give us negative 8. Let me make sure that's correct. Yep, negative 8. Which, if it's negative 8, that could just change to minus 8. And then bring down the minus 1. Okay? So here, we're going to next multiply these. 9 times 4 ninths would just be, these 9s would cancel out, leaving you with just 4, minus 8, minus 1. And then last step, we'll simplify that. 4 minus 8 is negative 4, minus 1 is negative 5. So your y value would be negative 5. So that is your minimum point on this quadratic function. So that would be your final answer to this. You plug in for your x, get your x, take the x you get, plug it in, and then you find your y. So that would be your final answer. Negative 5 is your minimum value for that quadratic function. All right, let's look at another one. All right, so here we have negative 3x squared plus 6x minus 1. So we're still going to have to use negative b over 2a to get our x value first. And if you notice, a is negative here, so this is one where we'll be finding a maximum value. So I'm going to start by plugging in x equals negative b. Negative, my b is 6. Over 2 times a, which a is negative 3, so I plug in negative 3 for a. X equals negative 6 over 2, negative 6 over 2 times negative 3 would be negative 6. And then negative 6 divided by negative 6 gives you 1. So that was actually a pretty easy one. We get a pretty easy x value to use once we work that out. So then we'll take our x value of 1 and plug it into that. Y equals negative 3 in place of x, 1 squared, plus 6 times x, which is 6 times 1, minus 1. And then most students that are watching this should be able to work this out fairly easily. 1 squared is 1. 1 times negative 3 is negative 3, plus 6 times 1 is 6, bring down my minus 1, and then we just work that out. Negative 3 plus 6 minus 1 should give you 2. So your final answer for that one should be y equals 2. So that is the maximum value for that quadratic function. Alright. Alright, I want you to try a couple on your own. Okay, so pause the video, try these out, and then you can start it back and we'll see if you were able to correctly get the answer. Okay, so looking at the first one, we're going to start by plugging in what we know. So, x equals negative, my b on that first one is 1. Make sure you remember your b, if there's no number in front, the invisible coefficient is 1. So that is 1 is my b over 2 times a, which is 3. Work this out, negative 1 over 2 times 3 is 6, and that can't be simplified any, so that is the x value I'll be using, negative 1 over 6. Okay, so I'm going to put that here. We have y equals 3x squared. In place of x, we are putting negative 1/6 squared plus 1 times x, which is negative 1/6 again, minus 4. Okay? Let me go ahead and erase this so we have some room. So we start by squaring negative 1/6. So y equals 3 times negative 1/6 squared is 1 over 36 plus negative 1/6 minus 4. Y equals 3 times 1/36 would give you 1/12 plus negative 1/6 minus 4. And then we can just plug this into the calculator. 1/12 plus negative 1/6 minus 4 will give you y equals negative 4 and 1/12. Or if you want to write it as an improper fraction, it would be y equals negative 49 over 12. And sometimes you might get weird answers like that, which is fine. But that would be your, in this case, a is positive, so that means it's opening upward, so that is your minimum value. Okay, let's look at the last one. Negative 4x squared plus 5x plus 3. So we start with the x by using negative b over 2a. My b is 5, so negative 5 on top, times 2, or over 2, times my a, which is negative 4. That would be negative 5 over negative 8. And then 2 negatives make a positive, so my x value is 5 over 8. Okay, so we've got an x value of 5 over 8. So that's what we're going to plug into the quadratic function down there. So negative 4 times 5 over 8 squared plus 5 times 5 over 8 plus 3. Okay, so now we start working the math out. 5/8 squared would be 25 over 64 plus 5 times 5/8 would be 25 over 8 plus 3. We're going to multiply this out. Negative 4 times 25 over 64 will give you negative 25 over 16. Bring down my plus 25 over 8, plus 3. Y equals, now I'm just going to add these together. So negative 25 over 16 plus 25 over 8 plus 3 will give you either 4 and 9/16, or as an improper fraction, that is, let's see, 73 over 16. So 73 over 16 would be your improper fraction. So that would be how you work, that would be your final answer, 73 over 16. So those are the steps you go through to finding your minimums or maximums of your parabolas. As we go forward, we'll talk about an easier method, but for now, that would be the best option to use for minimum or maximum. Thank you.